Cheers.
Cheers.
Here's to vengeance. Oh, hey, it's good to see you again. Tonight's episode is on Kill Bill Volume 1. This great kung fu revenge film was chosen by my friend Andrea. So, Andrea, Kill Bill turned 20 this year. What can you tell us about the first time you saw it and your initial impressions?
I think it was just unlike anything I'd ever seen before. And at the time I was around 20, so I was a young woman. And to see this young woman protagonist in there kicking butt, like getting revenge that she absolutely deserved. It was just an all-around great movie. I'm not so much a kung fu fan, but I am a revenge fan. So that was it. I was sold when I saw it.
Some people say that the revenge plot that is like just one of the oldest dramatic stories because like we feel it in our gut. Mm-hmm. How many times would you say you've seen this movie?
Countless. I owned it on DVD as soon as I could, and I would just watch it over and over, have it on in the background, just, because there are so many different little vignettes going on. Like each person is kind of in their own little scene, so it's like you're watching many different movies and you can pop in and out of the movie, and I love that about it.
How long has it been since the last time you sat down and watched it beginning to end?
Over a decade. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is why I'm so excited for tonight.
Yeah. What are you curious about?
I remember, I love Mr. Snape's character, but I remember my favorite was Oren Ishii, and I want to see why identified with her so much and liked her so much better than everybody else. So,
yeah.
What about you? How long has it been since you've seen Kill Bill?
Oh, God. I really don't think I've seen these films since maybe 2006 when Grindhouse came out. Because I'm one of those people who actually think Death Proof is just as good as anything else Tarantino's ever done. I can be a Death Proof apologist. This was not the first time Tarantino had made a movie with a strong female protagonist. Pam Grier was just phenomenal in Jackie Brown. I'm curious, what did you think of Tarantino films before you saw Kill Bill? Or was this your first Tarantino film?
I feel like this is the first time he came on the radar for me.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's my favorite director. It started with Kill Bill, but I also loved so many other ones after that, especially Django Unchained. His style is just so great. And I can't even imagine Kill Bill having been done by anybody else but him.
His love, his passion for the genre, and the way he tells a story with that verve and style. He's inspired a lot of imitators, but no one quite does what he does. So, well, all right. It's time to begin and watch Kill Bill Volume 1 again. We'll catch you after the credits roll. Hiya! See it again, see it again. Cinema, see it again. See it again. Cinema. See it again. See it again. Cinema. See it again. See it again. Cinema. See it again. See it again. And then talk about it. And we're back. Wow, what a wild ride. So, what are your initial reactions?
That was way more brutal than I remember. So much more blood. I know it's Quentin Tarantino, so obviously there's going to be a lot of blood. But my God, it just, right before the credits even open, where people are already getting shot in the head, just jumps right into it. I loved it. And not just the bloody brutality, but also the brutality of the experiences that the people go through, like how Mr. Six loses her baby and how she experiences rape and all these other really just gut-wrenching themes going on within the violence too.
When she first comes out of the coma, and it's a quiet, prolonged moment as she remembers what happened, and then the realization that something that she was carrying in her womb is not there. And I, I just think that that's such a profoundly powerful moment, and it's handled in a very naturalistic way, as that's how it might happen to anyone who woke up after an accident and realized that the baby they were carrying was gone.
The camera spent a lot of time on her while she just cried. And it
Yeah.
was very raw. And it was just her holding her stomach and tears streaming down her face. And that was not a quick moment. That was like they wanted you to feel her pain.
Yeah.
And I feel like we did.
In the 20 years since I've seen this movie, I've sadly known far more people now who have lost a pregnancy than when I was 21.
Yeah.
Seeing this now, just at this stage in my life, it packed more of a punch. And yeah, there's some cartoony, over the top, gory violence, but there's also some like profoundly traumatic, real life violence that is kind of more painful to watch. Any particular scene or moment that stood out to you as far as like it seemed new, or maybe you had forgotten about it?
After the battle with the crazy 88, the screen was just red. Like it wasn't just like blood splatter. They just made it a solid red screen for us. And I felt like that totally encompassed that entire scene. And it was so simple. And it was like it sticks though. Like,
Yeah.
I remember that. But yeah, I don't know. What about you?
I am struck by how little David Carradine is in this actual film.
Yeah.
His voice, we get to see his hands. It's almost like he's like this godfather figure, or a Marlon Brando from Apocalypse Now, where we don't really get to see him much until the big finale. I kind of had an idea that I knew David Carradine was on a show called Kung Fu, but I'd never seen an episode. And because of the success of Kill Bill, Warner Brothers started releasing Kung Fu, the 3 seasons, on these beautiful DVD sets. It's also brilliant in that Bill is the complete opposite of Kwai Chang Caine. This man is a man who does not want to fight. He does not want to harm anyone. And yet here Bill seems, he's so against type. When an actor does something that they're not known for, or the complete opposite, sometimes seems more right. His presence saturates. Anytime we hear his voice or see his boots across that church floor, he's got like a certain gravitas towards him. Speaking of that church, I've heard you've been to the church where that was shot.
Yeah, it was wild. It's actually still a church that they use for church service. It's about an hour and a half outside of Los Angeles, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And so I drove to it, and all I did was basically park outside and stand where the Deadly Viper squad stood.
Yeah.
And like saw that view from across the street of the church right before they walked to it, and it was really cool. And I took pictures and stuff.
Is this a picture of the church?
That's it right there.
Magic. So how did you hear about the church and say, I want to go there?
I don't even remember. I think I love going to movie locations. I think you said you do also.
Yep.
Yeah. So, it was just, Kill Bill was such a big part of my early 20s and like in my formation as a strong, independent woman, because for obvious reasons. So when I was close enough to it, I'm like, I'm going to find this place and I'm going to go there. And I did it. And I did nothing else but take a picture and turn around and go back.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But you got the story to share on the show.
Yeah.
So.
And I got the goosebumps when I got there too.
Yeah.
That was rad.
I know you've spoken about how much the character of really resonated with you, but also Oren Ishii. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what you think their stories have that is so relatable to audiences, but I think to female audiences in particular.
We kind of touched on it earlier, how they go into the backstory, which is, in any kind of movie, that's always going to give you more sympathetic feelings towards a character when you know why they are the way they are. And we didn't really see that with Vernita Green, the first person, but with Oren, she had such an unbelievable backstory and like experienced so many brutal things as well. Death of her parents right in front of her. And the way, like, she brings in the whole idea of pedophilia and how that affects people, like some children, obviously. And so you kind of understand why she is the way she is. And I really like respected her and how she rose up and to become such a strong, powerful Yakuza boss, to a powerful assassin, or a very skilled assassin, but then obviously became the Yakuza boss. Just so impressive. And I really, really, really love, and I always have loved that line where she says to Beatrix, "For ridiculing you earlier, I apologize." And she meant it. And she was just like, that gave me chills, because it was this moment where they were like the same, on the same level, you know, and they had respect for each other. And I loved that scene.
That's one of the things that often drives revenge is we just want the person who wronged us to maybe see how much they hurt us, that we'd be willing to do X, Y, and Z, and that they would just acknowledge that ridicule and pain. And then somehow we could be even on the same level. When this movie came out, I had just started that summer before working at Blockbuster Video in Lincoln, Nebraska, store 231004. Still got my membership card. This was one of the best jobs possible. When you applied to work at Blockbuster, part of the application process was when you got the job interview, they wanted to see if you actually knew even just a little bit about movies, and they would ask you, what's your favorite movie? There was this guy named CJ. He was a young kid, maybe a freshman in college. He was from not an urban part of the state. He took this question very seriously. And I know this because my friend was the manager who interviewed him, and my friend was not very professional. And he told me about the interview. So CJ, he gets asked the question, what's your favorite movie? He goes, He's clearly putting a lot of thought into, like, what is his favorite movie? And at some point, the manager is just thinking, just tell me a movie that you really like. He's like, no. I'm just trying to decide between two movies. Okay. I'm trying to decide between Varsity Blues and Armageddon. And I'm going to go with Varsity Blues. The manager is trying not to crack up, like, oh my God. We get it. You're young. You haven't seen a ton of movies. We're not going to be snobby because, you know, it's Blockbuster. But the fact that he was contorting himself as if this was the most important decision he was going to make. Now, I say this so you understand a little bit about CJ's aesthetic history. So, Kill Bill comes out, Volume 1. Pretty much everyone on the staff goes to the theater to see a new Tarantino movie in the theater. And we're all, you know, when we should be like scanning and returning movies to the shelves, we're just standing around talking about what we love about it. And CJ walks up and is like, what? You guys are talking about Kill Bill? Oh, I hate that movie. That was the stupidest movie I've ever seen. It's like the dumbest movie I've ever seen. We're like, what? What are you talking about? It's like, right in the middle of it. It started pretty cool, but right in the middle of it, it's a cartoon. It just switches into a cartoon. That's so dumb. And we were trying to explain, well, you know, there are different styles of kung fu movies, and, you know, Tarantino was trying to pay homage to all of them in a film. Like, it was a big mashup of different styles of kung fu. It's like, well, that might be. But then later on in the movie, it just goes into black and white. And it's like, I hate black and white movies. They're boring. Like, why? They're so dumb.
Oh my God.
So CJ, it's 20 years later. I hope you've maybe learned a little bit since then. Because if not, then this revenge on YouTube is just a little sweeter for me. I don't take comfort knowing you may still be out there in the world with ill-informed opinions. But if I ever find you, I want you to know that I know that you now know what I think of you. Let's talk a little bit about also being an assassin.
Yeah. As I'm watching this movie, one thing I'm starting to think now as an adult who understands that it's more complex than just the good guy and the bad guy, because is an assassin. She's part of this deadly Viper squad. And that means that she's been out there assassinating. Like, she's been doing all the same stuff as these other people. So the movie is like, oh, these are the villains because they attacked her, obviously. And she obviously is getting revenge for that reason. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, she's still a bad guy too. You know, it's like, I get it when your besties turn on you and you want to, like, get revenge for that. Obviously, that makes sense. But, you know, we mentioned how Vernita's daughter is now going to start a new cycle of revenge because of something that Beatrix did. Like, she didn't have to kill her mother in the same house that, you know, the daughter was in. She was just upstairs.
Yeah. I like how the plot begins with that, largely because it seems to hint to the futility and the ongoing human struggle, that cycle of violence that revenge brings about. I'm also really glad that they're not making Kill Bill Volume 3, which was, I think it'd be called Kill the Bride.
It was floated around.
And some people thought it would be Tarantino's last film. Instead, we're going to get something called The Film Critic, which might be his most meta film yet, but he's never let me down. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does next year. I think we should talk about the ending, like the cliffhanger. This seemed to be the first film with a genuine cliffhanger since Back to the Future 2. We had to wait 6 months to find out more of the story. What did you feel when the movie ended on that cliffhanger?
Oh, I mean, gotta know more. Like, that's Quentin Tarantino. How are you going to do me like that? Like, you're just going to end the movie there? It was great, though. I mean, this movie has it all. It's got the violence, the, like, human stories, the cliffhangers, the, like, action scenes. I mean, I think that was just obviously the perfect way to end it. Because, I mean, this movie was supposed, like, Volume 1 and Volume 2 were supposed to be one movie combined. And so to split them up and end it there was just, like, perfect.
To me, it was the closest thing audiences had to feel, you know, at the end of Empire Strikes Back to wait until Return of the Jedi. I was wondering if you had a recommendation for any other film that someone should watch. Like, if you loved Kill Bill, what's something else that they should check out next?
I would say definitely Kill Bill 2.
Yeah.
Like Kill Bill Volume 1, Kill Bill Volume 2.
I second that. I mean, I love this movie so much. I bought a Zippo, a Kill Bill Zippo, with a Hattori Hanzo. What is that, a lion? What kind of creature is that, a dragon? I got a Red Apple cigarette case. I think if they had made more merchandise, I would have bought it too. Now, I know some people like to argue online because it's the internet, but which is better for you? Volume 1, Volume 2?
Volume 2, for sure.
Why?
Well, you'll find out in 6 months from now.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have Andrea back on the show in 2024 for Kill Bill Volume 2 on See It Again Cinema. So what about you? Do you prefer Volume 1 or Volume 2? Let us know in the comments below, and maybe we'll share some of the results and our responses to your responses in our next episode. Andrea, thank you for being on the show.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. This was a lot of fun.
Well, all right. That'll do it for this episode of See It Again Cinema, where old movies make magical new memories. Thanks for rewatching. We'll see you next time. Bye. See it again, see it again. Cinema, see it again, see it again. Hattori Hanzo. Oh.